Miter saws are great for cross-cutting boards, but they can also be loud, dusty, and don't always produce the finest quality cut. But there are simple solutions to improve all that. So today I'm sharing 5 tips to make your miter saw better. The first tip, and this one is super easy and an absolute must if you haven't done it already. That throat plate with a really wide slot in it, you need to replace that immediately. Because there's so much empty space around the blade, I mean, look how wide that is. You'll almost always get tear-outs on your cuts because the board isn't fully supported on the bottom side. Now there are 2 simple options to fix this. The first one is to remove the existing insert and custom build a zero clearance throat plate. Now I did this on my previous miter saw and it was actually one of the first videos I ever posted on my channel if you want to have a good laugh and go watch that. I'll actually link it up here in the corner. The second, much easier option is to simply add this zero clearance tape. It's a super thin yet strong piece of vinyl tape made just for this, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. This is what I've been using on my miter saw for years now, and it's held up really well. I haven't even had to replace it yet. But they come in a pack of 5 in case you do need to swap it out. If you're doing bevel cuts, for example, you're going to need to replace the tape to get a fresh zero clearance line when you go back to 90-degree cuts. They peel up really easily, and then you can give it a quick cleaning with rubbing alcohol and stick down a fresh piece. All that's left to do is cut the kerf after making sure that your blade is square before you do this. By simply adding this piece of tape, I get much cleaner cuts with minimal tear out on the bottom side than if I was just using the standard throat plate. And having a zero clearance means that there's no risk of having small offcuts fall into that crack and getting stuck, so there's that advantage too. Now you've probably, or at least hopefully, noticed the warning signs telling you to keep your fingers away from the blade. Or maybe you've made a cut or two where your fingers felt just a little too close to the blade. Now, cutting small pieces like this on the miter saw can be scary and pretty dangerous too. Ideally, I prefer to use a crosscut sled to make those small cuts, but sometimes in a pinch you just want to make a quick cut without the hassle of pulling out the sled. Now there's a quick, safer way to make these cuts on the miter saw, and that's to use a hold down stick. Now you can either buy one or make one yourself, and there are plenty of examples on the internet that you can look up, or save some time and get one of these. This is called the $10 million stick, and it allows me to safely hold down small pieces of wood, all while keeping my fingers at a safe distance. There is no way I'd make this cut using my hand to hold down the workpiece. But having my fingers far away from the blade and knowing that the workpiece is held down securely, I can confidently make this cut. It's got these little rubber feet to provide a solid grip, and I can use it in different positions depending on what I'm cutting. If you're interested in checking it out, I'll leave a product link down below. Whether it be the $10 million stick or a homemade version, I highly recommend having some type of hold down stick to keep your workpiece secure and your fingers away from that blade. Now using a hold down stick is great and definitely makes cutting small pieces safer, but there's something else I like to do to make cuts not only safer, but also a lot cleaner too. And that's to add a temporary zero clearance jig. Building this jig is pretty straightforward. I'm using 1/2" MDF for this. I'll start with a piece that's wide enough so that my blade won't cut all the way through it, and then add a short fence using some CA glue and activator. And then I can reinforce that with some screws. To secure the jig to the miter saw, I can either use these mounting holes in the fence to secure it with a few screws from the back, or I can simply use some double-sided tape to stick it to my fence. It doesn't have to be complicated. Once that's done, I'll cut the kerf, being careful not to cut all the way through the jig. And that's it! The jig is now ready to be used. There are so many advantages to using a jig like this. Number 1, it makes it easier to line up your cuts since you can reference off the cut in the jig to precisely line up your cut. Number 2, it'll result in much cleaner cuts since the board now has support both on the bottom and at the back, so you get virtually no tear out using a jig like this. And number 3, it's much safer to cut small parts because there's now that support at the back of the workpiece. Unlike cutting a small piece like this where the blade might want to catch and twist the board, causing kickback or even pulling your hand towards the blade. We definitely don't want that. So having a jig like this will make cuts safer, cleaner, and even more accurate. Now before I get to my next tip, there are a few basic things that you want to make sure to address with any miter saw right out of the box. Number one is making sure that everything is adjusted correctly, meaning that the fence is square to the blade and the blade is square to the table. And every saw will come with a manual explaining how to do this for your particular saw. I make sure to do this first thing out of the box, and then check it again every once in a while too. The other thing you'll want to do is to upgrade the blade that comes with the saw to a decent crosscut blade. Now a good crosscut blade will have anywhere from 60 to 100 teeth with a tooth angle that's not too aggressive. I use a 60 tooth blade and I've had good results, but in theory the more teeth you have when cross-cutting, the cleaner of a cut you'll get. The third basic I'll throw in here, and even if you might not consider it a basic, is to create adequate support around the miter saw to support the piece that you're cutting. This could be a miter saw station like the one I have, or it could be a store-bought stand. I got this miter saw stand on sale at Princess Auto so that I can use my miter stand outside or even on the go if I need to. In a pinch, you could even simply prop up some blocks on each side of the miter saw just to have something to support the lumber on. Because if you don't have any support, it'll get real annoying real fast. And can actually be dangerous too. You might make a sudden move to catch the falling lumber, or it might catch on the spinning blade and cause kickback. I don't even want to picture some of the worst case scenarios. But bottom line, however you do it, my tip is to make sure that your lumber is supported on both sides. Okay, getting back to my tips on how to improve your miter saw, here's number 4. It goes without saying that having some sort of dust collection attached to your miter saw is an absolute must. Miter saws are notoriously great at generating airborne sawdust that will completely ruin the air quality in your workspace. Now, most miter saws come with a dust collection bag, but these can only do so much to contain dust. The best option is to connect a shop vac or dust extractor to the saw's dust port. I'm pretty happy with the setup I've got here, so let me show you what that is. So I have a shop vac hooked up here to the dust port, but before going into the shop vac, all the dust goes through this cyclone here, so most of the sawdust drops into this bucket, and very little actually makes it into the shop vac. This helps to avoid the shop vac filter from clogging up all the time and makes cleanup a lot easier. All I have to do is open up this bucket and empty it out whenever it gets full. I have a video where I explain this setup in more detail, and I'll link that up here in the corner here if you want to check it out. Now, using a shop vac and a cyclone is great, but the real upgrade I want to talk about is automating your dust collection. And that's where this little gadget comes in. This is an IVAC switch, and what it does is basically tells your shop vac to turn on as soon as you fire up your miter saw. And it only takes a few seconds to set this up. Just plug your miter saw into one outlet and plug your shop vac into the other. Then set your shop vac to on. That's it. Now, as soon as I hit the trigger on my miter saw, the shop vac fires up. And after I finish making the cut, the shop vac will keep running for 6 seconds to finish clearing out the sawdust, and then automatically stop. Now, I don't know about you, but having to turn on and off my dust collector every single time I make a cut, I probably forget half the time or just not even bother. So having this all automated is a huge game changer for me. And if you want more details about the setup I have a separate video that I'll link down below, and I'll also link to the IVAC in the description below too. Now, even with a shop vac hooked up to your miter saw and automated dust collection, we all know that dust collection on most miter saws, well, sucks. And not in a good way. And that's where my final tip comes in. And that's to add a dust shroud like the one I have here. A dust shroud or hood is essentially just a box built around your miter saw. It'll help contain any dust that isn't caught by your dust collection system. So instead of having all that dust floating around your workshop, it'll mostly be contained in this box. The key is to make the box as closed off as possible, but still be able to use the saw without any issue. As you can see, I've created a cutout to allow the saw to be used in the 90-degree crosscut position, but if I need to make an angle cut, I can just open the doors like this. Some people use screws or magnets to hold on the doors, but I decided to go with sliding doors so I don't have to deal with where to put down the doors when I need to open them up. You can tell that it works by all the dust that's collected back here. But to demonstrate further, I'll use this air quality monitor, which is showing just the baseline measurement right now before I make any cuts. I'll first make 5 cuts with the doors closed and check the readings. Next, I'll make 5 cuts with the doors open and check the readings again. And you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to disconnect my shop vac and see what happens. Yeah, I think you get the picture. So I highly recommend taking your dust collection one step further and building a dust hood around your miter saw. And I provide more details on how I built this one in another video that I'll link up here and down below as well. Having a miter saw doesn't mean you have to breathe in sawdust all day and get frustrating results. I hope these 5 tips will help you get better results with your miter saw. And remember to check out the links in the description down below for all the products I talked about and the related videos too. Until next time, thanks for watching, see you soon.